All the praise and all the glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rukah Kudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, okay? And I'm going to go in on Hosea 7 through the Spirit. It says, and start at 1. When I would have healed Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria, for they commit falsehood, and the thief cometh in, and the troop of robbers spoileth without. All right, dealing with Ephraim would be the so-called Puerto Ricans, which in this chapter, in this verse, Ephraim is collectively the entire northern kingdom, all right? What you would call the so-called Hispanic, Latino, and Native American tribes. So, Ephraim, has been wicked because of basically mingling with the heathen, becoming, like the other nations, the heathen nations that they were mingling with, the northern kingdom. This is why, like the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, which you have dark-skinned Israelites who are of the northern kingdom, and some of them even, would look like so-called black men. Like the perfect example is, Puerto Ricans. A lot of times they'll look like what you would call a so-called black man. But you got to remember, Ephraim, as we go on to read this chapter, it tells you that he mixed himself among the people. So that's why you have, so-called Mexicans who are light-skinned. And really it goes across all Israel. But, we look like all the nations. Because why? Because we mixed with the other nations. Verse 2, and they consider not in their hearts and their minds that I remember all their wickedness. Now their doings have beset them about, they are before my face. Even to this day, so-called Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics, they don't consider the wickedness that they do. Even with their religions, the majority of, or a lot of Northern Kingdom is Catholics. So they consider not that they're doing wickedness, but because they don't remember, they don't understand who they are in these last days. Verse 3, they make the king glad with their wickedness and the princes with their lies. Yeah, so it's Esau who's the king now, right? He's the Pharaoh, the king of spiritual Egypt, America. He's happy when he sees all these so-called Hispanic, Latino, Native Americans in his Catholicism, That makes him happy because he knows they're under an enchantment. The so-called white man knows that they're not calling on the true power of the Bible. So they're in darkness. So that makes the king glad, right? Verse 4, they are all adulterers as an oven heated by the baker, who ceaseth from raising after he hath kneaded the dough until it be leavened. Adulterous, spiritual adultery. If you're a practicing Catholic, or even if you just consider yourself Catholic or modern Christian, you're an adulterer, because you're committing spiritual whoredom against the Heavenly Father and the Son, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay. In the day of our king, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners. All right, you see that? So the princes are sick with the bottles of wine, which wine is a metaphor for doctrine. All right, like just like wine, if you drink too much wine, you're going to be under the influence. You see, but that's what it is. You're under the influence. Same thing with the doctrines. You're under the influence of another religion, of another, wickedness. You're not calling on the true power of Israel. All right, so that's what it is. The wine is that metaphor for the the doctrine. Our people are under false doctrines, under the influence, drinking off that strong drink, that wine. Right? Let's get that precept real quick. Let's see. Okay, we'll grab Proverbs 20:1. It says, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. See, so that's what it's talking about. You're drunk off that wine, meaning those doctrines, right? You're deceived. And it's a mocker and it's raging, you see? Because that's why we read the king, it makes the king glad with their wickedness, because Esau loves it when he sees you so-called blacks, or I'm focusing on Northern Kingdom, so I should say you so-called Hispanic, Latino, and Native Americans. He loves it when he sees you in darkness. He loves it when he sees you, worshiping Jesus Christ and worshiping the Catholic religion and practicing modern Christianity, you see, which is all strong drink, deception, okay? But as long as you're in that state, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he don't have a problem on his hands. But when you come into the truth, he has a problem, because he knows the power in our book. He knows the power in the true power, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You see, he knows the powers in those names. So he prefer you to be under the influence of strong drink, you see. Let's see, where am I at? Verse 6. It says, for they have made ready their heart like an oven, whilst they lie in wait. Their baker sleepeth all the night. In the morning it burneth as a flaming fire. See? So your mind is you're going to be made like an oven. Why? Because you're going to get burned like an oven. These false doctrines that are deceiving you, you're going to get burned when judgment comes. When Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai visits the earth, if you make it to that point, to that day, you're going to burn like an oven, as it tells you in Malachi 4:1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So you're going to be part of that destruction, the burnt up oven, burnt up to a crisp, burnt up to powder. See, even if you're an Israelite, because why? You're drinking that wine, you're drinking that strong drink. Hosea 7:7. They are all as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calleth unto me. See, the majority of you Israelites, you're not calling unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. No, you're calling on Jesus. You're calling on Jehovah. You're calling on Yeshua. All these false names that have been given to you by your enemy, right? The king that's glad to give you those that wine. He's like, here, drink another glass of wine. He's happy when you're worshiping and you're following a false religion, like Catholicism, like Jehovah's wickedness, like modern Christianity. If you're in Islam, he doesn't care. You're not a threat. Verse 8. Ephraim, which is the northern kingdom, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. That's what I was talking about earlier. The northern kingdom and also the southern kingdom, because you have so-called black tribes that have offspring throughout the generations that look like heathen nations, all right? Look like the other nations. But Ephraim, we're a cake unturned, it tells you. Because why? I do a job where I take people to a place called Breckenridge. It's a ski resort in Colorado. And I pick them up at the airport, and a lot of my customers happen to be Issachar. so-called Mexicans, and when they get out and walk to my truck, they look like I've mistaken them for white people, Caucasians, because so-called white people, because they look like they're a cake not turned, right? Because Ephraim, you got to remember, it's collectively all the northern kingdom tribes, not just Ephraim, which is the so-called Puerto Rican, but all the northern kingdom tribes, all the way from Ephraim down to Issachar. Okay, it's cake not turned. If you're cooking pancakes and you don't turn it, one side's going to be dark and one side's going to be white. That's what the metaphor is. People look like they come in all kinds of shades of colors, right? The northern kingdom as well as the southern kingdom. Verse 9, strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yeah, gray hairs are here, and they're upon him, yet he knoweth not. Because why? Because our people don't consider. They don't consider not in their mind and that Yahweh remembers their wickedness, and they don't consider who they are, right? It tells you that in, Isaiah 1 and 3. The ox knoweth his owner, the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. All right. The majority of until, now the truth is coming out. A lot of people are coming across the prophets, coming across the videos, realizing that their true nationality are Israelites and not, the bywords that have been given to them, like so-called the Puerto Rican, Mexican, Cubans, Brazilians, Colombians, all these different bywords that were given us by the enemy. Our people don't consider who they are, right? He says the dumb ox knows who his owner is. The stubborn donkey knows his master's crib. But Israel, dumb and stubborn, they don't consider who they are in these last days. But the Lord set up his prophets, and we're teaching the nations who everybody is according to the Bible. All right? We're in that time. Let's see, Hosea 7 and 10. It says, and the pride of Israel testifieth to his face, and they do not return to the Lord their power, nor seek him for all this. See, and who's that? The pride of Israel testifieth to his face, and they do not return to the Lord their power, nor seek him for all of this. You Israelites are not seeking Yahweh Shem Yahshai. You're busy drunk off that wine, drunk off those doctrines, and you're not seeking your true power. 11. Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart. They call to Egypt and they go to Assyria. Yeah, just like with the jump shot, and eventually it's going to be that RFID hip. You're a silly dove without a mind. Like you don't have a mind of your own. Instead, you follow to the beat of Esau's drum, meaning you call on Egypt and you go to Assyria, which the Edomites are the modern day Egyptians, and the Edomites are the modern day Assyrians. Right? All those kingdoms had us in captivity: Egyptian captivity, Assyrian captivity, and now we're in an American captivity. So that's who the majority of, and Hosea 7 is dealing with the northern kingdom predominantly, so I'm going to stick with that. You so-called Latino, Hispanic, Native American tribes, you're trusting in Egypt and you're trusting in Assyria rather than the Most High, all right? You're not trusting, you don't believe his prophets, you don't believe his mouth. The mouth of Yahweh are his prophets, but you rather believe the so-called white man, the Edomite. That's why you go and take his jump shot. You think that's going to protect you when, you don't consider that Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai gave you an immune system to keep you healthy and keep you safe during a so-called pandemic, you see. Instead, you trust in Egypt and Assyria. I had mentioned that a lot of those Issacharites, so-called Mexicans that I give rides to go take them to Breckenridge, they've all told me that they took the jump shot in order to travel. You see, why? It's because of what we just read, because they trust in Egypt. They call to Egypt and go to Assyria. That's who they go to for their truth. They don't know they're Issachar. I mean, yeah, they don't know they're Issacharites. They don't know they're Israelites. They think that they're Mexicans, and they're basically, they want to do everything the so-called white man tells them to do. They don't even question it, you know. They literally believe that that jump shot is what's keeping them safe. Stubborn, you know. And sottish children, meaning stupid. They don't know. Verse 12. When they shall go, I will spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of the heaven. I will chastise them as their congregation hath heard. Woe unto them, for they have fled from me. Destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. Though I have redeemed them, yet they have spoken lies against me. See, there was a time when our people were redeemed, like when we were delivered out of ancient Egypt. But through the generations, the people forgot what Yahweh Bashem Yahushua did for us. You see, so now, even though that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua has done all these miracles in the sight of the Israelites, but yet our people have forgotten about that stuff. And why? It tells you in Ecclesiastes, there's no remembrance of the things that we've been through in the past, right? Right here. Ecclesiastes 1:11, there is no remembrance of the former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of the things that are come with those that shall come after. See, so you don't remember exactly seeing the miracles that happened to us in Egypt, right? When we witnessed those things, we witnessed the chariots splitting the seas so we can cross over. But yet, through Yahweh Bashem Yahshua's wisdom, He's just put our people as in punishment. You born into captivity, you raised in captivity, you learn everything that the heathen teaches you. You don't consider you're an Israelite, but you got to remember, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua always has a remnant who he preserves, and he basically gives this knowledge and this truth to his prophets first, and then the prophets. You're going to have the 1/3 of our people who are going to cleave to the prophets and believe what the prophets are teaching and being shown through the Spirit. You see, so the Lord puts a spirit on His men to teach and understand these scriptures, and then when we blow the trumpet, the 1/3 is able to cleave to the truth. And the majority of the cleaving to the truth is going to happen during Jacob's trouble, when our people are under great oppression, when the so-called white man, he's going to show his horns and really come hard on us, come to destroy us, to try to destroy us. All right. So verse 14, it says, Hosea 7:14. It says, and they have not cried unto me with their heart, with their mind. When they howled upon their beds, they assemble themselves for corn and wine, and they rebel against me. See that? That's just self-explanatory. Our people are continually being rebellious. We're a rebellious nation. Northern and Southern Kingdom, all right? But in this chapter, like I say, I'm focusing on the Northern Kingdom. Our people, you so-called Latino, Hispanic, Native American tribes, you are very, very rebellious. You want to believe in all kinds of confusion because it's a punishment. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai raised you up in Babylon, America, if you're here, in America, United States, and you have all these stupid-ass belief systems in your head, which they're contrary to the truth, right? And your mind is polluted so much to the point where you can't come out of that polluted mind you have. But the prophecy does deal with the elect are the only ones who are going to cleave to the truth. All right, verse 15. Though I have bound and strengthened their arms, yet do they imagine mischief against me. See, self-explanatory. They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow Their princes shall fall by the sword, for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt. And it's not just ancient Egypt, because you got to remember, Hosea, when he was prophesying in the Assyrian captivity. All right, he was not prophesying in ancient Egypt. So he's actually talking about spiritual Egypt in verse 16, where he says, "This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt." Okay, let me read that. Let me look up that word derision. It says contemptuous ridicule or mockery. All right. So yeah, you're gonna get destroyed here in spiritual Egypt because of all of your wickedness. All right. Because of the mockery, the ridicule, the taunts, the disrespect, the contempt, the scornfulness, the disdain, all these different things that our people have had towards the truth, towards Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And for this, you're going to fall by the sword. And what's the sword? The ultimate sword is that waster, right? That nuclear missile that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is going to allow the so-called white man, the Edomite, he's going to allow him to put that sword on you, which the sword is actually literally that waster, the missiles. Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. All right. If you're paying attention to what's going on in the news, Russia and that whole Ukraine and NATO situation, it's not getting any better. As a matter of fact, it's getting worse. In the prophecy, it's going right in line with the prophecy. It says that, hey, the so-called Russians, the Lord's gonna put a spirit on them to start firing those missiles, that waster. It's gonna touch America. It's gonna touch spiritual Egypt, which is America. All right, and you're going to be a sacrifice, even if you're an Israelite. The ones who don't repent, the ones who don't believe this truth, this knowledge. All right, you've been polluted by, wherever you're raised up. Whether it's Babylon, America, or you're in some other country, and you're an Israelite, and you've been raised up in the way of the heathen, and you don't believe the truth when it comes across you. That's an occasion for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to judge you. All right, you've participated in an occasion for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to judge you when you come across His truth and you deny it and you reject it. All right, no matter how much sense it makes, you still want to cleave to your bullshit doctrines, your strong drink, your false wine. And that's why you're going to be. It's going to be justified. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is justified in your destruction. All right, with the nuclear fire. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out on that with that hot oven. He's going to put that hot oven on you by way of nuclear fire. So with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor, all the love unto Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all of the Akim who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And Shalom to the elect. Shalom, brothers. May you endure to the end. And Abad Babal on spiritual Egypt, which is Babylon, America. All right. Shalom to the elect.